Hello, welcome to another episode of Set Musings. So we're on to the second set of the Kamigawa block. This is Betrayers of Kamigawa, and this is a small set. It's 165 cards, as you can see here. Now, the rarity breakdown for this is 55 commons, 55 uncommons, and 55 rares. For the theme decks that they produced, obviously this being a small set, they would have utilised the basic lands from the large set, so from Champions. Things to look out for as we're going through, and I'll be highlighting, is ninja and ninjutsu, kai counters, and offering. Amongst other things, we'll be looking at some cycles here, and I'll highlight a few of the themes and keywords abilities that have spilt over, if you like, from the larger set into this set, which weren't specifically introduced in this set but were a carryover from the larger set from Champions. So let's just scroll through quickly to give us an overview in terms of the artwork and just a few things here. You can see there's a lot of spirits. Legendaries are still a thing, although it looks like there aren't legendaries at uncommon, but we'll see in a moment if that's true. There's still the tribal theme. We've got samurais, we've got foxes, we've got rats. We have arcane, you can see in here. So there are a number of arcane cards. There are a small number of splice onto arcane as well. So allowing you to leverage those arcane spells. You can see there's plus onto arcane. There's one there, which itself is a arcane card. A number of cards that enchant lands. You can see we've got those spirits across all colours. Some pretty freaky artwork, but again a good deal of consistency in here. You'll also notice that we have a single multicolored card, Genji of the Realm, a legendary enchant land, a number of artifacts, of which within those there are a number of pieces of equipment, and a pretty famous one as well, and a couple of legendary lands. A couple of non-basic lands, of one of which is a legendary. Got also a few interesting artifacts which actually have some of the themes in the set on them as well, and also reverse various stuff. When the legend rule does not apply. So let's start to go through. So just again comparing this to the first set, there's a few flip cards here, one in each colour, and you can see with these particular ones they are tied to these counters. So whenever you play a Spirit Arcane spell, you get to put one of those counters on this, and then those counters will trigger the flip. And you can see on the flip side there's also some counter shenanigans going on as well. And again with other flip cards we saw in the previous set, obviously there was a lot more in the first set of the block. This is all there is here. The flip creature is a legendary creature. I mentioned that there are ninjas in the set. There's 8 of them, and we'll come back to this when we look at ninjutsu in a moment, but there's 8 ninjas, and they map directly onto the ninjutsu ability. So there are 8 ninjas and there are only 8 ninjutsu cards, and they're one and the same. You can see, in addition to the flip cards having those counters on them, there is one of each of the colours as well. And again, in all these instances, both the flip cards and the non-flip card creatures that have this, they all care about playing spirit or arcane spells. In the case of the non-flip cards, you can see you can then do something with the counter. Additionally, there is a counter on an artifact, and again you can do something with that. Use it to generate colourless spirit creature tokens. So here's ninjutsu, and same 8 ninjas. Makes sense, obviously. You would have ninjutsu on ninjas. But they are the only cards that mention it. So what happens here is you've got the regular casting cost, and then you have this ninjutsu cost. So you can pay the cost and return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card into play from your hand, tapped and attacking, and that's the same on all of these cards, the only difference being the ninjutsu cost. And so if you are playing ninjas, you can get into some serious combat shenanigans. Also, you'll notice there's a secondary ability on all of them which cares about combat damage, and some of them have a third ability with a cost to it. So this one makes a target ninja unblockable. This one, you can bounce a ninja you control to its owner's hand. You can only play it during your turn, and this one regenerates the card. So yeah. Offering is a thing in the set. Interestingly enough, it's only on 5 cards. It's on a cycle, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So it's all offering of something, some creature of a certain type. So fox, moonfolk, rat, goblin and snake. So the basics are it's all the same template, which is, so you can play the card anytime you would play an instant by sacrificing a moonfolk and paying the difference in mana costs between this and the sacrificed moonfolk. Mana costs include colour. Now, of course, we've seen similar-ish things later on in Magic, where you can use a creature in play to effectively pay for the casting of another creature. And in this one, this was done through this offering ability. You can see they're all legends here, and I'll explain a little bit more about these in a moment, but I just wanted to focus in specifically on the offering. Oh, there we go. So, yep, in addition to be offering cards, that they're actually part of a cycle, and they're only on the cycle and the cycle of these patron cards, however you want to say that. Patron of the Moon, Patron of the Kitsune, Nizami, Aki and Orochi. Different casting costs. You'll see they all have additional ability on them as well. So the white one, you can, whenever a creature attacks, you may gain 1 life. The blue one, in addition to flying, has 1 put up to 2 land cards from your hand into play tapped. The black one, whenever a permanent is put into an opponent's graveyard, that player loses 1 life. The red one, whenever a patron of the Eki attacks, you get +2/+0 until end of turn. And the green one, untap all forests and all green creatures. Play this ability only once each turn. That's pretty powerful on that one. But it is 8 to cast, so 7/7. And we've seen before, this set has some pretty high casting cost, high power toughness creatures, which can cause problems if you manage to get problems with your mana. So we've got a number of arcane spells. There's 29. Now, additionally, and if I just go back here, there are some cards here. These are common instants, and that's weird. What did that mean? There we go. That's better. So yeah, so a cycle of common instants that can be spliced onto arcane by paying a non-mana splice cost. That's all non-mana splice cost. And you saw there were a number of straight arcane spells which don't have splice on them, which you could use, addition to the splice cards as well, because they are arcane. So. Cycle of Bakus, and there's also one that's or a card that has Baku in the name, which is an artifact. Ignoring the artifact, it's a cycle of common creature spirits with the counters we mentioned earlier. So I pointed out in the case of the counters, there were basically, two types. There was 5 of the regular creatures and 5 of the flip cards, in addition to this one artifact which spits out colourless creature tokens. I did mention that obviously flip was a thing in the set, but there are only 5 flip cards, and again they're tied back to those counters. So there's a good deal of sort of intermeshing going on in this set, which is why I've sort of duplicated this just to remind me that is the case. When you're looking at these, purely as cycle cards, there's other aspects of things going on as well in here. And you can see these are all uncommon, 1 and then 2 of a particular colour. They're all 2/2 humans that acquire those Kai counters whenever a spirit or arcane spell is played, and they be flipped at the end of turn once they have at least 2 on them. Their flip form is all legendary spirits with activated abilities that require removing their counters. We've got a cycle of Genji, and I've also included the Genji of the Realm, which is the 5 colour legendary enchant land. We'll have a look at that as well. Sort of complements the cycle. So these are all auras. They all enchant a particular type of land for each of the colours. And they temporarily turn the land they enchant into a creature for 2. If the enchanted land goes to the graveyard, the enchantment is returned from the graveyard to the owner's hand. And the 5 coloured one, as you can see, complements the cycle. And this can be obviously cast on any land, whereas these have to be cast on a particular land, basic land type or land type. So plains, island, swamp, mountain and forest. Just looking here. So the white one gets life gain. This one is flying. +1/+1 by investing black mana. You can see they all become quite different power toughness creatures as well. This one becomes a 6/1, doesn't have anything additional. Same with the green one, it's a 4/4. The Genji of the Realm is an 8/12 with trample. Cycle of 1 mana spirits, so all 1 mana to cost. A couple of them are Kamis. They're 1/1s, and where's it gone? Oh yeah. So, as I said, single colour mana to cast, and then you can sacrifice them to do something. So the white one prevent damage, the blue one tapping, the black one will make a target player lose 1 life, the red one 1 damage, and the green one +1/+1 target creature. So we've got lobotomy type spells here, and these are all reprints from Urza's Destiny. So an uncommon cycle spell is removed a target spell from the game, then also removed all other copies of the card in its controller's graveyard, hand, and library from the game. So Scour is enchantments. So you remove a target enchantment from the game, and then you go through and sort of everywhere else. The blue one does the same for instants or sorceries. The black one, non-black creatures. The red one, non-basic lands. And the green one is artifacts. So yeah, the sort of things it targets, the usual suspects for the colour that the spell is in. Cycle of Shoals. Shining Shoal, Disrupting Shoal, Sickening Shoal, Blazing Shoal, and Nourishing Shoal. So all arcane spells. So within that larger set of arcane spells, they cost X and 2 of an appropriate colour of mana. So they're X spells. They're all rares, and they're pitch spells. So basically, the player may exile from the hand a card of an appropriate colour with a converted mana cost of X, rather than pay the card's cost. Also, each of the art has a fish in it, apparently, somewhere. Tie into the word shoal, obviously. And you can see for the pitch cost, it's the same basic template, but for each it's just the appropriate card, the colour of card, so white for white, blue for blue, and so on. And that just means you don't pay the X cost if you choose to pitch a card of that appropriate colour. And then you get the spell, or alternatively you can pay it for its usual cost here. So that's the mana cost of the card you pitch gets fed back into the X part of the spell. That's how that works, if you're going to cast it that way. Excuse me, I seem to be having 1 or 2 problems with my my Wi-Fi today, and I'm not sure why. I'll have to reboot the server. Did I say reboot the server? I meant reboot the router. So we've got a vertical cycle of glass kites. Shimmering glass kite, jetting glass kite, and Kira, the great glass spinner. They're all spirits. They're all blue flying creatures, and they have, whenever this creature becomes a target spell or ability for the first time in a turn, counter that spell or ability. Now, if you can see here, this one goes beyond just itself. So these two apply to themselves. This one also, by the very wording here, gives itself this, so, and all other creatures. So creatures you control have that ability, including Kyra. Well, this is very lumpy today. So we've got a cycle of 38 legendaries. And I've already mentioned that a number of these are flip cards. But by the look of things, they are all they're all at rare. Also, beyond the legendary creatures, we've got legendary enchant lands, legendary artifact, equipment, and legendary land. There's our arcane spells. I've mentioned already 27 of those. We've got 89 creature spells in the set. We have 27 instants. Actually, going back to the creatures, because it's pretty important, let's have a quick look at the tribal things, because it's easier to see. So we've got spirits, samurais, foxes, a number of combination here, human, samurai, archers. More spirits. Yeah. Ogre goblins, goblin shamans, and so on. A number of red ogres and goblins. Okay. So back to the instance. They're not all arcanes, some of them. So 27, if you sort of compare that with the actual arcane spells, interesting. How have we got, what did I do here? Did I make a mistake? Oh, that's interesting actually, the way that's worked out, because, oh yeah, who would have thought it? So there's 27 arcane spells, of which they are either sorceries or instants, but there are also 27 instants, of which some are not arcane spells. That's an interesting numbering thing here. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird sort of cross, I'm trying to think of a good word for that, but there are cross connections in the set with different things. I don't know if that was deliberate. Right, let's have a look. seeing if we got, oh there we go, destroy target creature related to power, preventing damage. There's our our conditional counter target spell. Interesting. And of course, remember with these, we looked at the shovels earlier. These actually get exiled the card, so something to think about. It's counter spells that target instants or sorceries. There's a card here that will get stuff back from the graveyard to the library. Tapping, unblockable. There's our destruction for legendary creatures. There's our destruction for non-black creatures, that's conditional. Graveyard stuff. We've got, again, spells that, these -X spells where it's tied to something. These are our red instant direct damage stuff. Again, there's a few here that are conditional. Life gain in green. It's pump spell. So let's see what we can see at sorcery speed. Just talk amongst yourselves. The internet is broke. Very strange. Why is it doing that? Let me just make sure that that's... Ow, shit. That's better. Try now. Weird. Okay, so final judgment removes all creatures from the game. Tarasi's grasp. What we got here? Return all artifacts and enchantments to their owner's hands. So it's pretty unusual stuff here. Draw a card for each spirit you control. So there's a lot of conditional sorcery spells here. Each player shuffles his or her light hand, graveyard and permanents he or she owns into his library, and then draw 7 cards. Each player light becomes 7. So we've seen some pretty unique stuff here. Oh, there's sorcery speed black removal. Targeted discard. Like, so specific to certain cards. Oh, another way of getting stuff back from the graveyard. Do we have any sorcery speed damage? It's interesting. Get rid of yeah, we saw that earlier actually. That's part of that cycle. Each player sacrifices a permanent. Oh, okay, so that's sorcery removal in red through sacrificing. Yeah, this little set does go down some interesting rabbit holes. Reveal the top X cards of your library. Put all creature cards this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Oh, sorcery speed token generation for creatures, for snakes. So 18 enchantments, of which some you've seen already. We've got auras, we've got stuff that enchants legendaries. And this Wooburg enchantment for lands. $12 artifacts in the set. One of which uses divinity counters. We've got Umazawa's Jite, which we will specifically look in the equipment section. So within those set of 12 artifacts, 6 of them are equipment. So we've got Blinding Powder, Nico T, Ronin War Club, Shuko, I'm probably mangling these, Shuriken, and Umazawa's Jite. So Umazawa's Jite, 2 to cast, legendary equipment, a legendary artifact equipment. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage, put 2 charge counters on Umazawa's Jite. Remove a charge counter from Umazawa's Jite. Choose one. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, or target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, or you gain 2 life. Equip for 2. So our 2 lands, one of which is usual non-basic land at rare. We've also got a legendary land, but it is at uncommon. So yeah. So there was one legendary uncommon. I don't think there were any others beyond that. So in case I missed any, because I did think they were all up to rare, but this is one uncommon. But I think all the rest are definitely at rare. Yeah, indeed they are. So, with God's Eye Gate to Raike, legendary land, tap, add 1 to your mana pool. When God's Eye Gate, the Raike is put into a graveyard for play. Put a 1/1 colourless spirit creature token into play. And Tendo Ice Bridge comes into play with a charge counter on it. Add 1 to your mana pool, tap, remove a charge counter from Tendo Ice Bridge. Add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Set as a whole, as it's a small set, I think we've probably seen most of what we needed to see here. I don't think, I'm just curious if there's any cards that care about. No, I don't think there's any alternate win conditions. And then we've got our set in price order. So let us see where the magical $10 cutoff is. So Mirror Gallery is the most expensive card in the set currently at $32. Basically very simple, 5 to cast. The legend rule does not apply. And Umazawa's Jite, it's been reprinted actually only in special sets apart from online. Interesting. $27. Ink Eyes, $20. Life Gift, whenever a land comes into play you may gain 1 life. 14. Toshiro Umezawa, part of the secret lair drop, but beyond that, just in Betrayers, $12. That which was taken. Legendary artifact, 4 tap, put a divinity counter on target permanent other than that which was taken. Each permanent with a divinity counter on it is indestructible. Higuer the Still Wind, which is an ninjutsu legendary creature with unblockable on it. That's $10. Also been in the Plane Chase product, and as a result, the Plane Chase Anthology. And then Kira takes us to just below. It's been reprinted in Modern Masters and Jumpstart. In terms of EDH All-Stars, Jitei's in there, Ninja of the Deep Hours, Mistblade Shinobi, Heightless Hidetsugu. You can see a number of ninjas, so obviously probably Ninja Tribal. Let's have a look and see if we go in here what sort of stuff we've got. Yep, so blue, black. Or mono blue. If you want to do horsemanship. Horsemanship and ninjas. I wouldn't expect there was a... I think mono red. Bushido. Okay, so it's just like hyper aggressive, so you're going to be playing around. Yeah. It's just like a hyper-aggressive red deck where you're leveraging yeah, the Bushido trigger. Okay, so that makes sense. Also in the commander deck. Yeah, so you can see here, it looks like obviously we've got quite a few ninjas and ninjutsu in this set, obviously used in EDH, and then a few other things here where with this one, you know, it's not necessarily used in Bushido Tribal, but it sort of exploits this in combination with aggressive creatures. So, what's coming up? So we've got next on after this video, we're going to follow it up with an episode of the Deck Durdle, and in that we'll be building a deck or a couple of decks from this card pool. So that's ready to go. We've got obviously an episode of Commander Fodder, so we've got some theme decks to choose from, but as I always do, I've already sort of chosen. So there's four theme decks in the set. Dark Devotion, Black Red, Ninjutsu, Rat's Nest deck, and a Spiritcraft deck. And I just chose to do a Rat Tribal. I could have done something else, but I thought Rat Tribal would be fun, so I took the Rat's Nest deck and made the legend in there the commander. But we'll go through that when we get to that particular video. So there we have it. That's the Commander Fodder episode. Not Commander Fodder episode. The Set Musings episode for Betrayers of Kamigawa. I do apologise for the internet shenanigans. Part of that was on me. I wasn't quite as, what's the word, aware as I normally am. I'm a little bit tired today for some reason. I've got quite a bit going on this week as well, and I didn't want to, I could have just stopped the video and reshot it, but I'm a bit pushed for time, unfortunately, this week. I need to record another video so that I can release a video during the holiday season. I've got quite a number of videos actually coming out over Yuletide season, and as a consequence, I've had to shoot a number of videos sort of back to back over consecutive days, which I don't normally do. So I was mindful of not getting myself in a situation where I had to reshoot this video, unfortunately. So made things a little bit sloppier, unfortunately, but hopefully it didn't detract from the episode too much. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now.